My friends, Chris Cuomo here. Welcome to NewsNation. This is where right and left can come to try to be reasonable. So, Congress, both houses, have voted nearly unanimously to force the DOJ to release the Epstein files. A triumph for transparency, assuming the DOJ does what it is told. Now, I also see this vote as proof of what really matters to both sides. Not the survivors, not in my opinion, not transparency, not in my opinion, advantage over the other side. Why is there such buy-in? Because both sides believe that blame for hiding the Epstein files is death, okay? And everything is looked at through the lens of right and left, not what you and I value everywhere else in our lives, at work, as a partner, as a parent, as a professional, right and wrong. That's what explains the selective outrage that we get in our politics, the maddening, myopic view that the only bad things that matter are what the other side does. Republicans hold hearings over Biden getting a Ukraine prosecutor fired after his son makes millions. That's bad. Trump pardons a crypto billionaire right after he makes his kids tens of millions. Crickets. Democrats say, Trump, his tweets, they amplify political violence. They're furious with him about his most recent exploit, calling a woman reporter piggy. And rightly so. The president seems insistent on demeaning the office. But the left only hears the ugliness on the other side. The stuff from the squad, muted. The last election, the guy who's now the AG-elect in Virginia, Jay Jones, his texts were the most overt threats of an opponent I have seen. Crickets. Why? Yeah, but it's just the other side. MAGA hated lawfare against Trump, but happy when Trump goes after Comey and Letitia James. Ukraine, too much for the far right, too much military action for America. America first. President is surrounding Venezuela, blowing up ships that we know nothing about what he's doing with those boats. Crickets. Trump called out Clinton for accepting money from the Qataris, remember that? But then he accepted a luxury jet from them. I mean, come on. Melissa Hortman dies, you get one kind of outrage. Charlie Kirk gets assassinated, you get another one. Both of them shot, both of them for bad political reasons, but the outrage is selective. You know, moments after the Epstein votes, the leaders of both parties reportedly cut a deal to avoid censures of their members. It's just so repulsive. It's so obvious and ugly. Republicans have Congressman Corey Mills. He's accused of a wide range of misconduct, like stolen valor. And then you have Delegate Representative Plaskett, a Democrat, communicating with Epstein during a hearing for help on her questions. These are both wrong all day long. You and I both know it, right? But why can't you be against both? No. The Democrats put up Mills and say, hey, you go after Plaskett, we're going to censure Mills. Remember what censuring is. Censuring is getting called to the carpet, and they go like this. You talking to that pedophile during the hearing, that's not nice. You faking your military pedigree, that's not nice. Even that, they can't agree on. So Epstein is a monster for the left only when he's Trump's friend. But when he's helping a Democrat, you know what they call him? A constituent. When you change right and wrong to only what works for you, situational ethics are having no ethics. That's why Trump gets away with whatever he wants with his base. Not because his base is under a spell, not because they're stupid. We all know people we love, if not us ourselves, who voted for Trump. For many, he is a middle finger to what they really hate, which is our hypocritical politics. They see him as a rejection of a politics that has gotten more and more about doing nothing except owning the other side. And they are not going to have a side of politics that they hate tell them that they're wrong to like Trump. It'll never happen. And that's why it doesn't matter what he does. He can keep lowering the bar because they believe no one will ever raise it. And we've lost the sense of what we value everywhere else. We see decency as weakness. We see knowing how to disagree with decency as weakness. We've allowed a social media sneering surreality that is fact-free and all about how you feel, where outrage is encouraged and rewarded literally by design. And our politics is an empty echo of the same, and that's all it is. That's why we get no buy-in from both sides for health care, for costs, or not using the military to surround another country for no reason, or anything except releasing the Epstein files. Why? Now look, I want them to release the files. I believe they have to, after all the BS from both sides. Nobody will ever trust anything about it. So I want them revealed, but not for what you're hearing. Not because there's going to be a win. Not because there's going to be new criminality by the Epstein class, as the left calls them. I can't wait for them to raise money off that. But because I believe that when this is all released, it's going to prove that both sides were doing wrong by overpromising just to hurt the other side, not to help survivors. Okay? I'll give you another example of the game right out of the headlines to start our show. Today, Democratic senators and members of Congress released a video with a dire message for the military and members of our intelligence community. Watch.
This administration is pitting our uniformed military
and intelligence community professionals
against American citizens. Like us, you all swore an oath
to protect and defend this Constitution.
Right now, the threats to our Constitution aren't just coming from abroad,
but from right here at home. Our laws are clear. You can refuse illegal orders.
You can refuse illegal orders.
You must refuse illegal orders.
Your vigilance is critical.
And know that we have your back.
Because now, more than ever,
the American people need you.
We need you to stand up for our laws,
our Constitution,
and who we are as Americans. Don't give up.
Don't give up.
Don't give up.
Don't give up the ship.
I don't even know what, this pisses me off on a couple of different levels, okay? What are you asking? Are you asking the troops to defend our Constitution and save us here at home? I mean, is there some kind of implied message there that we're going to have a civil war? Or what's more likely is you're putting on the troops the responsibility that you won't take up yourselves. Why should they have to be the check of the president? Congress is the constitutional check on the executive, especially when it comes to making war and use of military force. Don't kick the can to them. Don't make it about them. And by the way, it's a little bit of a scary thing that sounds like you're suggesting some kind of civil war. But let's clarify what's going on here and why this is being done this way with members of each side. Fair brokers, love having them both on the show. On the Republican side, you got member of Congress, Randy Fine, who I had to give a little pap to on Twitter today, but that doesn't really count. He's on the Foreign Affairs Committee. And the leading Democrat on the Armed Services Committee, Adam Smith. It's good to have you both. Randy, appreciate you. Adam, appreciate you. Adam, do I have it wrong? Is it okay to say to the troops, hey, you have to stop Trump?
Well, the one piece of it that you have wrong is that Democrats in Congress are trying to do that. I don't think you're wrong that Congress itself should stand up. The problem is we don't have the votes. We've introduced a resolution basically calling for a stop to the boat strikes. We've done a whole lot in Congress. So I don't agree with you that Congress isn't trying to do its part. I don't know that I agree with telling the troops something that they already know. I mean, the troops, they understand the Constitution. They understand the illegal orders. I don't, though, need to communicate to them. The only thing I disagree with what you said is the notion that somehow they're doing that because they don't want to do their job in Congress. They're doing that, too. It's just that the majorities in Congress have not agreed to allow those things to be heard and for Congress to stop what President Trump is doing. But we're going to keep trying.
This is a rhetorical question, but do you think that your party is as loud about what's happening around Venezuela as it is about the Epstein files?
Look, it's not exactly a bold point out there that Democrats and Republicans seek advantage. I think you got to take it issue by issue. And yeah, if someone's saying one thing and then saying the opposite, hold them to account. The big, broad, sweeping condemnation sort of robs us of the ability to say, okay, well, why did you take this position? Why did you take a different position? And let them explain it. As far as the Epstein files are concerned, yeah, I agree with you. At this point, I'm not looking for partisan advantage one way or the other. I think the country needs them to be released so there can be some clarity on what's happening, certainly for the victims, but also for the country that's been through this debate.
The sad thing for the survivors is it's all going to be about what kind of gotcha you can find about the other side, because that's how it's been sold. And I think that part is sad, but we'll see what happens. Randy, this is the part of the interview. And now you. No. You know, with the Republicans, Randy, you know, I got the arguments about Ukraine. I don't see it the same way, but I understand the arguments. You know, America should be sticking home. This is what America's first is about. Let's stay out of foreign entanglements. We got enough problems. Now you have a president doing what I have never seen in my lifetime. The way he is surrounding Venezuela, what's happening with these drug boats, no discussion, no debate, and we all three know this is your legal purview under the authorized use of military force. There's no world where a president can do these things without any kind of notice to Congress. Why are you guys quiet?
Well, thanks for having me. Look, I think what makes this different than Ukraine, whether you agree with it or not, the president believes they are trying to bring illegal drugs into the country to kill Americans. I mean, there's a direct threat to the country, and that's his perspective. But the president's being transparent. Tomorrow, in our SCIF, the place we can get classified information, the president's presenting a report that anyone can go and read and understand all the information that he's using to make those decisions. So he understands that he's accountable to Congress, and I don't think they can put all of it on TV for people to see, but they are making available to members of Congress all of the intelligence that they're using to make those decisions, and I'm looking forward to taking a look at it myself.
I mean, can you think of any other time that America has reached out and touched people who are non-Americans and not explained it in any real way, just said they were drug dealers, and we never see proof of the drugs? We never see proof of their affiliation. Now, do I think that these guys are likely cartel guys? Yeah, I do. All of the way they're doing things looks like that, but that's my standard of an opinion, not as the President of the United States or the Secretary of War.
Well, look, I trust President Trump's judgment, and there's no other reason to take these actions. Yeah, I do trust his judgment.
Really?
There's no other reason to do it, and again,
you don't believe the president
why else
should,
would you blow
hold
up
on,
these
hold on,
boats?
Randy, hold on a second. Why would he blockade Venezuela? Because it looks strong. Why would he blockade Venezuela? Because he's trying to prove that socialism is a dangerous thing that has to be combated. Look, if you want to go after socialists, they're all over the place in South America. You also have one in Germany and in Sweden. If you want to go after cartels, start in Mexico. We both know what this is. This is a show of strength against someone he doesn't like.
I think you made the argument. No, I think you made the argument. There are lots of socialists you could do this to. Why do this? It's because he believes they're trying to bring money into the country by selling drugs. And again, he's being transparent with Congress about what the information he has to base it on is doing. I do trust his judgment. He hasn't given me any reason not to. And I appreciate the fact that they volunteered to bring this information for us to go and look at so Congress can do its job.
There's two problems with that.
Go ahead.
First of all, the administration has been giving a totally mixed message about what's happening in Venezuela. Yes, they talk about drugs, but then, like you said, they're surrounding Venezuela. They talk about fentanyl. There's no fentanyl coming out of Venezuela. He's talked about doing strikes in Venezuela. He's talked about regime change. So it is not clear. Is this a counter-drug effort, or is this an effort at regime change in Venezuela? They've not been clear about that. The second thing they haven't been clear about is the intel behind it. They have not shown us, okay, you've identified 24 narco-terrorist groups. How? You know, what's the intel that tells you that these are the groups that are key to it? And again, even on the basic question of fentanyl, we know they're wrong. That the report, I think, that you're talking about merely offers the legal justification, I've read it, which is highly questionable, for doing this. It doesn't explain where the intel is that led them to the conclusions on the boat strikes that they're making, and that's what hasn't been transparent.
Yeah, I've just seen it. Look, first of all, why do I love that you guys are here? Because you both make cogent cases and you're standing next to each other. And as simple a gesture as that is, it means everything right now. I see the same thing in Nancy Mace, Anna Paulina Luna saying, hold on, we don't care what Corey Mills did. I'm not backing away from Plaskett talking to Epstein during a hearing because we don't want one of ours to take a hit also. We only want clear kills. Randy, that is about right and left, not right and wrong.
Well, look, I voted to censure Plaskett. I think she should have been censured. She's texting with a pedophile.
Mills?
That's not okay. But Mills being investigated by the Ethics Committee, and I think we should allow that investigation to go forth. I think what Corey did or didn't do isn't known with certainty. I think we knew what Plaskett has done, but he needs to be investigated.
They've got the guy who said, I never signed off on his award. I never did it. I've never seen it. Anyway, I take your point.
I think
Adam,
both
last word.
It should apply to both. It should apply to both of them. Plaskett hasn't been investigated either. She sent a text back and forth with Jeffrey Epstein. And by the way, they're not just censuring her; they were removing her from a committee. That's more than a censure.
Same for Corey.
Okay, and those things should be investigated. We shouldn't have knee-jerk censures where some member decides they're going to file something and 2 days later we vote on this. We have an ethics committee. Do the investigation and then reach the conclusion. This is like, you know, reaching the conclusion before you even have any sort of investigation. So I agree with you on Corey Mills, but the same ought to apply to Plaskett. So that's where I think the inconsistency is.
I said to somebody today as a joke, who is a common Republican source of mine, I said, oh, man, I really wonder now. You know, Epstein had called me to kind of help me, direct me with what should be going on with the release of the files, and I took his lead on a couple of things. The guy was like, "What?" And I said, "Oh, but it's okay when you guys talk to him." And then I said, you know, because he was defending the idea of what's happening with Plaskett. Anyway, if you can just be consistent about what you would believe in ordinary life when you're in office, we'll start to get trust back in our Congress, and that's what I really want. We need you guys.
Members of Congress are not the only people in the world who are inconsistent. Let me just point that out.
That is true.
Get out in the world a little more and talk with people.
That is true.
There's a lot of inconsistent people out there because it's a complicated world.
But hold on a second. Certain things are complicated. You don't have to tell me I'm an old man, Adam. But certain things are simple. We put you guys there to represent the best in us, not the rest of us. I get it. I get it. That's why I'm not in elected office. We need better, and that's why we have you guys.
Yeah, thanks.
All right. Randy Fine, appreciate you. To be continued. Adam Smith, thank you both. Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our NewsNation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.